What's going on, guys? Gaston right here, and there's a camera company that doesn't get a lot of love right here in the channel, and the camera company is Nikon. Now, I don't have anything against Nikon, but as a matter of fact, actually, Nikon got me started in digital photography. But this new camera that we're going to be talking about is a rumor camera that's been lingering around for a while, and right now we have newer rumors about this camera. It seems like pretty amazing not to talk about it. So we're going to be talking about the Nikon Z9, a camera that may see the light very, very soon. We're going to talk about all the features that we know right now and also share some images coming right up. Welcome back to the channel, guys. Gaston right here, and remember, we're getting very close to that Sony A7Siii giveaway. To enter, very simple, simply subscribe to the channel right now, enable notifications, and go follow me on Instagram and Twitter at Gaston Shutters. I'll be making the announcement on the 24th of December or the 25th, so good luck to all of you guys. So like I mentioned before, apparently Nikon is gonna stop sitting in the background and they're gonna come up with something that can really compete with products that are being put out by companies like Sony and Canon. So we're talking about the Z9, a camera that is supposed to be kind of like the mecca of all cameras, and it's gonna try to get after a lot of camera companies right now and a lot of models in one shot. So it seems that this camera is going to compete with the Sony A9 II. It's going to compete also with the Canon EoS R5. It may also compete with the R4 from Sony, and also probably compete with their own D6 and the 1DX Mark III. So yeah, pretty crazy and pretty ambitious project from Nikon. And we're going to be talking about some of the things that we've heard from the guys at Nikon Rumors that have been providing some information. So thank you for that. One of the things that we know is that this camera may actually be announced in 2021. And 2021 seems to be a crazy year. So if you thought that you have seen a lot of cameras being announced in 2020, wait until you see about 2021, because we're hearing rumors from left to right. Now, the other thing that we know is that Nikon is going to try to put this product out, at least for testing, for the Olympics of 2021 in Tokyo. Now, we don't know if those Olympics are going to happen. Hopefully, they are going to happen. But, I mean, what a better place than test a badass camera than in the Olympics. The other piece of information is that Nikon may also be introducing a brand new 400mm f2.8 lens, and once again, this lens is supposed to be ready for the Olympics. And once again, what a better place than to test a badass lens like a 400mm f2.8 than in the Olympics. Okay, let's start talking about the sensor of this camera, because this is where things get a little bit confusing, but also an understanding what they're trying to accomplish. This camera is said to have a 46 megapixel sensor, and the D6 actually has, I believe, a 20 megapixel sensor, correct me if I'm wrong, and the A9 has a 24, and the R5 has a 45 megapixel sensor. Now, this one is going to have a 46. Now, the earlier rumor talked about this camera having a 60 megapixel sensor, and chances are that probably they tried with a 60 megapixel sensor and maybe they found overheating issues, in the prototyping stage. But now we get a clear confirmation that 45 may be the resolution that we're going to see in this camera. Now, when it comes to burst capability, this camera also is going to be right in line like the A9 II with a 20 frames per second. Now, let's talk a little bit about the video specs, because this is where this camera actually gets really, really interesting. Until right now, we talked about, high burst capability, 20 frames per second, 46 megapixel sensor, we've seen all that stuff, bigger bodies. But this is where Nikon, is doing something completely unusual out of their comfort zone, because it's said that this camera is going to have 8K video up to 30p and 4K up to 120 frames per second. Now, I never thought that I would live the days to actually witness an 8K camera, kind of like an mirrorless body from Nikon, but definitely, they are going to make an effort. And the other thing that is being rumored is that Nikon has been putting so much effort into this camera that perhaps this is one of the reasons why, some of their latest releases have been like softer releases of product, now like a massive improvement, but incremental improvement. So in this camera, may actually see the latest and greatest, of the Nikon technology being developed until today. Of course, this camera is going to feature a brand new Xe processor that is going to be able to handle all that 4K 30p and 4K up to 120 frames per second. Once again, we don't know if this camera is going to have RAW capabilities. Probably not at launch. You know, we are assuming maybe in the future we have firmware update, but definitely we wish that this camera is not going to have any overheating issues. And once again, probably this is an indication why, you know, from 60 megapixels we went to 45 megapixel all of a sudden. You know, maybe they actually found a happy medium with a 45 megapixel sensor. But you know, Nikon, once again, if you're listening to this video, make sure your camera doesn't overheat. You know what happened to Canon. It is said that this camera is also going to feature a brand new version of the Nikon autofocusing system. Now, the autofocusing system of the Nikon is not horrible, you know, but it's nowhere near to Canon and Sony. And apparently they also have refined this technology, and we may see it for the first time in the Z9. Now, regarding the EVF, we're also going to see a brand new EVF blackout free. And once again, I think that any higher end camera right now coming forward should actually have a blackout free experience. Now, regarding the user interface, this camera is going to be different than anything done before, and it is said that it's going to be revamped. So probably we're going to have, you know, more buttons, you know, rearranged buttons and dials. And the other thing that we know is that this camera is not going to have the secondary back screen that the D6 has. So, you know, we're gonna see definitely something completely new. And there are some of the renderings that we've been sharing right here that kind of like illustrate what this camera can look like. Now, these renderings are not Nikon's rendering. This is artist's interpretation of this rendering. So I don't know the name of the artist. So if someone knows the artist, tag him right here. Now, regarding battery life, it's also said that this camera is going to be better in that department, and we're going to have the EN-EL18X brand new battery. When it comes to communication and connectivity, this camera is going to have the latest technology such as gigabit LAN, Wi-Fi, Bluetooth, and also it's going to have GPS. Now, speaking about the price of this camera, like we mentioned before, this one is going to sit around the D6, you know, realm. So this camera is going to be around the $6,000 and $7,000, and once again, we mentioned that it's going to be competing kind of like the 1DX Mark III. It's also going to be a kind of like the mirrorless version of the D6, which are cameras in the $6,400, $6,500. So we're talking about the same bucket here, but at the same time, you know, it's competing with cameras such as the Canon EoS R5. That is actually much less expensive at $3,900, and the A7R4 $3,800, and maybe the A7S III if you want to throw that camera right there, which I believe is also what, $3,800. So let me know what you think about the new Z9. I've been following this camera and refraining from making a video, but I think I'm going to be covering all the development of this brand new camera. It gets me really excited to see camera company like Nikon pioneers in photography bringing something much more in line with Sony and Canon right now. So drop your comments down below. Let me know if you would consider a camera like this one. Are you considering maybe leaving away Nikon, or are you even considering getting into Nikon for the first time? As always, guys, subscribe to this channel, and thank you for watching this video. I'll see you on the next one.